Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the July LegFi webinar. My name is Amanda, and today we'll be going over what you need to do to prep for back to school. Hannah is also joining me, and she will answer any questions you may have throughout the webinar. I'll answer a couple of those at the end as well. If you will, please go ahead and introduce yourself in that question chat by telling us what organization you are with so we can make sure we see those. So while you all are doing that, I'll let you know what our agenda for today is. We're going to look at who LegFi is. We're going to look at updating your member roster, how to set up fall billing, how to address the different ways you can address member balances, and then we'll look at LegFi with Treasury. All right, so LegFi hosts and supports LegFi. For more than 30 years, LegFi has provided technology solutions to help customers manage their finances, streamline their operations, recruit new members, and communicate with their members. We are based out of Columbus, Georgia, and we securely process more than $1.1 million per day for our clients and have securely processed more than $4 billion since 1992. We're deeply committed to serving, promoting, and advancing the fraternity and sorority experience. We're passionate about what we do, and it's this passion that has encouraged our clients to trust us to do the heavy lifting so they can focus on their mission and having fun. All right, so when you get logged into LegFi, you'll immediately be taken to your dashboard. And before we get started on adding members, how to send out invoices and things like that, I want to point out in this gear icon under the billing section to make sure that you have a payment method set up to pay for your LegFi subscription. So, and also if your national headquarters bills you, this is how you'll pay that as well. So you need to make sure that you have a preferred payment method for those two things. So moving on, we'll look at the members module. This is where you will keep your roster up to date. You'll want to make sure to clean up your roster on a regular basis. We suggest doing that at the beginning and end of each semester. To add new members, you'll come up here to this add members, and you can add multiple members by downloading a sample file and importing that way. Or you can add single members. If you only have one or two and you don't want to upload a spreadsheet, you can do that from here. Once members are added, they will be sent a registration email to set up their LegFi account. If you need to update members, we'll go back to the member list. And from here, you can update the member type. So say you had some members that graduated and you need to update them from members to alumni. You can click on those members. And then up here in the actions section, you'll click on edit. And then you can change them from member to alumnus. One of the things that I want to note is if you are changing a member to alumni, once you have updated their member type, you'll then send an email to info@legfi.com with the members' names so they can be archived. This is an important step. If those members are not marked as alumni and archived, your chapter will get charged for them in your LegFi subscription fee. They must be archived so your chapter doesn't get charged for them. And just as a side note, when they are marked as alumni, we don't get a notification of that. So that's why you'll need to send a list with the members' names to that email address, info@legfi.com, and I'll put it on a PowerPoint slide for you to write that down if you can't remember at the end, so that we can archive those for you and you don't get charged for them. So once you've updated your member roster, you can also look up here at the top between any active members, archived members, and any members that may have been sent to collections. You can also create groups if there are certain members that are billed differently than other members. For example, if some members can pay in full at the beginning of the semester, You can create a group for them, or if other members need a payment plan, you can create a group for them. And you would do that by coming up here to manage groups. And then you can edit groups that you've already created, delete them if you need to, or add new groups. So then you can click into an individual member. So let's go back to manage members. And if you want to look at an individual member, you can click into their billing profile. You can see the email address they have on file, if they have a phone number, and then an address. You can look at any outstanding charges that they may have, any future charges that is going to be sent out. Then you can look at all of their account history. And then if you want to break it down by charges as well as payments, you can look at that as well. Any communications that's been sent to them, you can view that. If they're in any groups, you can look there. And if they have any permissions, admin permissions, you can see that, and you can edit that from here as well. And then if they have any contracts. Okay, moving on to how to send out invoices, creating fall billing. Under the invoices module, you'll come up here to create new invoice. And then you can filter by group, or if everyone gets billed the same, say everyone has the same chapter dues and fees. So we're just going to add all the members, and then we'll do add charge, and then you can put the title. You can also copy an existing charge. So if you've already done this before, you can just copy it from a previous semester and then update it for this semester if chapter dues and fees have increased a little bit or gone down a little bit. You can update it accordingly. If it's a one-time charge or a recurring charge, you can do that here as well. So for instance, for the group that is going to pay in full at the beginning of the semester and it's $5,000 or $1,000, you can do the one-time charge. Or if it's a recurring charge and it's $1,000 but it's being broken down, so then you would do $250, and you can put the description. And then you can choose which financial account for that to be deposited into. So I'll show you all how to do this in just a minute, but if you don't have an external bank account, you have a treasury account, you can have different treasury accounts for different fees for those payments to go into. So if you wanted a housing account that's just dedicated to a treasury account for housing that's just dedicated to rent, and anything housing related, you can create that, or anything for chapter operating account, or if you have an event that's coming up and you're trying to save money, or if you have a savings account, you can create as many treasury accounts as you want to, and then you can select that as the deposit account. And then you'll choose your revenue category and your first start date, so when that statement is going to be mailed out, and then the due date. If there's going to be a late fee, you can add that here and then do what the late after date will be. And then we'll add additional charges. So okay. And then once you finish that, you'll click on Save Charge. And then you can come down here and you can put in a message. You can preview the invoice and make sure that it's exactly what you want it to be. And then once you're satisfied, you'll click on Send Invoices. And it will show up here that it's charges are processing and how many invoices you just created. So now if once you create the invoices, members can pay through LegFi, or if you accept payments externally, you can come out here to payments and you can record payments for members. So you'll click on record payment, and then you can actually search for members and do more than one. And then if you needed to put like the check number, you could do that. And then you'll click on submit payments, and that will show up under that member's account. If there are members that have not paid and you're having trouble, there are ways to communicate with them. One of the things that we recommend is trying to clean up member balances before the semester starts and at the end of the semester. So if you have members that have graduated and they're not responding, under this collections module, you can click out here and you can come out to the past due emails and try to get them to respond that way by sending them emails. We have templates out here that you can use. So these are the different, this is a past due reminder, severely past due, and then a notice to send them to collections. And then you can select those members and then schedule the past due email. If they're not responding to emails, you can also schedule past due calls. You can come out here and put the description of the call, and then there will be an automated call that is made to them, and that happens at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every weekday. And then if none of that is working, you can come out here and submit them to collections. And one of the things that is required is they have to have an address and a birth date for them to be sent to collections. So it's important on the front end when members are added to collect all of that information. So once you decide which members you want to send to collections, they'll come over here to the selected members. And under here, under the contact information, this is where you're going to put your information, not the member's information. So you'll put in the admin's information, and this is used for the collection agency to give you, like, they need to contact you for anything. And then you will agree to the collection contract and submit them to collections. And once they are submitted to collections, they will be marked inactive within LegFi, and they cannot be moved back. They cannot be removed from collections and moved back to the LegFi platform until they've paid. So this is a last resort. So if you think that they'll pay, you don't want to send them to collections until all of the other avenues have been exhausted. Okay, so now we will look at the financial accounts module. This is where you can go to add your external bank account. So down here, this is where you'll go in and add that information. This is where you also go to open your treasury account and treasury cards. So I'm going to show you how to add a treasury account. So under financial accounts, you'll click on add treasury account, and then you'll go through the terms and conditions and agree to those and click on submit. So then while that is coming up, one of the things that is required by federal regulations in our payment processing, we must collect all of the information requested in the Know Your Customer form. This form is securely encrypted, and the data provided will only be used by Stripe's system to verify your identity. So you'll input the information that is required. You'll put in your cell phone number and your email address, and then a code will be sent to you to verify your phone number. And then you'll need to provide your name, contact, and identifying information and organization information to complete the form. If Stripe's automated system is unable to verify your identity, you may be asked to provide additional identification, such as a driver's license, to finish the process. So once the form is submitted in full, it will show up underneath your Treasury accounts. And even if it requests a driver's license, it still should only take 1 to 2 business days. But if it doesn't request a driver's license, the verification process takes about 5 to 10 minutes. So that account will be available the same day. Then once you have your Treasury account set up and an external bank account, if you need that, you can then transfer funds between accounts. To do that, you'll come up here to this Fund Transfers button, and then you can click on Add Fund Transfer, and then you'll choose the account that you want to transfer from and then transfer to. You'll put in your amount and any notes pertaining to that transfer, and then the transfer date. So it can be today, or if you want it to take place at a later date, you can choose that. It does take 3 to 5 business days if it's going to an external bank account, but with the Treasury accounts, it's immediate. Then to look at any transfers, you can see pending transfers under the pending transfer section, and then any process transfers, you can look here. Now to look at how to add a Treasury card, let's go under this one. So here we're going to go in, we're going to add a card holder. If you're creating a card for yourself, you'll do everything within the LegFi system. If it's for someone else, like if you're creating a Treasury card for a member or someone, they will be sent an email to go through, add their card holder information. And that takes, if they do it right away, they'll get their, if it's a virtual card, they'll get it immediately. And then if it's a physical card, it takes about 7 to 10 business days for them to receive that. So we'll click on Choose Member, and then choose the card type. And then under the spending limit, this is a great way to create a budget. If you have a member that needs to go out and purchase supplies for an event, you can give them just an all-time spending limit of $100. That's all they have. And once they're done, you can close the account or close that card. Or if it's for an officer and they need money, they need to be able to spend money every day or weekly, you can create that spending limit. It's a great way to ensure that you don't go over budget. So once you choose your spending limit, then you'll come out here and agree to the terms and conditions, click on Next, and then you'll review everything and click on Submit. And then from there, then you'll have to go in and add the card holder information. So we'll go back, and it says here pending card holder data. So because I'm in here as Jess, I can go in here and add that information. But as I mentioned earlier, if it's someone else, they will get an email and they'll add this card holder information through that email. So we'll input that information. We'll agree to the terms and conditions and then click on continue. Then we can make sure that everything looks correct and submit it. And so now it says your new virtual card is active and ready to use. So then they can add that virtual card to their Google Pay or Apple Pay or Samsung Pay. And they can also do that once they receive their physical card as well. They can add that to be used. So now we'll look at how to manage the cards. So if you got a card for a member and they're only going to have $100 for to spend out of everything, you can come out here and click on actions, and you can close that card once that those funds are gone. Or if you need to freeze a card so that it's no longer able to be used, you can click on suspend. Suspending a card is temporary. You can come right back to the action section and then click on activate to reactivate the card. If a card is lost or stolen, you can click on lost or stolen and go through the process to report that. And then if you need to view or edit it, you can come out here and click on that. If you need to update the spending limit, you can do that at any time as well. And then you'll go back through the process to review and edit, and then you can click on submit. So now I'm going to show you what transactions look like on a treasury card, but I'm going to switch back to our PowerPoint. All right, so to review a card's transactions, you'll select the link. You'll go to the card, you'll select to the treasury account, excuse me, and then you'll select the card where you want to view transactions. And then it will give you a breakdown of all the transactions under that card. If there is a transaction that looks out of the ordinary and you want to dispute it, you'll click into that transaction and it will give you all the information. So the date, the amount, where it was, the description, who the merchant is, and you can say if you didn't go to the masters, this isn't a purchase that you created, then you'll click on dispute. And then go through the process of disputing that charge. Once you've done the dispute, going back to the account, you can click on disputes and it will show you any disputes that have been won or lost or any that are currently in the process. And it'll show you all of the information, the reason, the amount, the status of it, and then the card number and all transaction and date. So one thing that I mentioned this when I was talking about invoices. When you come in here and you create an invoice, you can choose the category. To create those categories, you'll do that under the budgets module. And here you can manage your categories. So you can come out here and create like 2023 events, and then you can create events underneath that category. So if you're wanting to raise money or save money for an event, you can create a revenue category for that. And then you can also create other revenue categories as your chapter needs it. And then if there are any that you don't need, you can delete them or edit them, however you need to do that. And then under the communications menu, I just want to point out this is a great way to stay in touch with your members. So you can send out text messages to members. If you want to welcome them back for the semester, you can do that, or remind them that invoices have been sent out and dues and fees are due when they're due. You can do that. There's also where you can email members. And then if you want to look at like the communication log for members, this is under each member's account. But if you just want to see all of the members, you can come out here and do that as well. And then if you need to resend a statement, statements are sent on the 3rd and 15th of every month, but if you need to send an additional one, if someone says they didn't receive it, you can come out here and send it, as well as paper statements. If they're not responding to an e-statement and you want to send a paper statement, you can do that as well, and they'll be mailed within 2 business days. All right, so that is everything that I have for you today. Hannah, were there any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple that came through. Let me look at them. So the first person was just asking if you could go over archiving members one more time. I think they just want like additional clarification or just to see it one more time through.
Sure. All right, so to archive members, you cannot do it from the LegFi application. That's something that LegFi needs to do for you. So once you switch a member to alumnus or alumni or alumni, you'll send an email to info@legfi.com, this email address right here, and you will give them a list of all of the members that you switched to alumnus. So Winston Bishop, Paul, again, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and then Reagan Lucas. You'll send them a list along with the name of your chapter and organization, and then we will archive those members for you. And then once they're archived, you'll get a notification from us letting you know that they've been archived, and you'll be able to see them out here under the archived menu. You said there was another question as well?
Yep, there's one more. They were just wanting to know, they said when they were sending members to collections, they weren't sure what address they should use for the contact information.
Okay, so you'll want to use the admin address. So you'll want to put the person who is sending them to collections. You'll put your name, your last name, the email address, and phone number, and that's so when if the collection agency has any questions, they can contact you about those questions. And then we do recommend using a PO box and not like your personal email address. So if the chapter has a house, use that address instead of your personal address. And I do just want to point out that we have our help center under the question mark here. You can click on it. It will take you to our help center. And we have videos, webinars, articles out here going over a lot of the things that we went over today in our webinar. So if that is all, thank you everyone so much for joining. This was recorded, so you'll get an email in the next day or so with that recording, so you can look at it if you need to. It'll also be uploaded to our YouTube channel and our help center. So have a great afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining.